Hey, how you doing out there in YouTube land? This is Stiletto coming at you from the Wild Wild West. Happy Veterans Day. Happy Veterans Day to all my veterans out there. Peacetime and wartime. Happy Veterans Day to all y'all. Hope you all are having a great day today. Happy Veterans Day and thank you for your service, each and every one of you. I served in the U.S. Army from 1979 to 1985. I was a tank mechanic for my first enlistment. My second enlistment, I was a combat medic. First enlistment, I was a 63 Charlie, 60 and a 63Y. My second enlistment, I was a 91 Alpha. Here we go. I'm going to talk about my combat blades. None of these are the original combat blades from the eras. They're all reproductions, but they're reproductions by the original manufacturers. Okay, let's get started. Let's get started. I hope everybody's doing well out there. Let's get started. This one right here, which one? This one's the first one. This one should be like this, I guess. I was trying to get them set up right in the order that they should be in. Okay. This one is a John Eck. In 1941, John Eck created the combat dagger or combat fighting knife. This is a reproduction. This is a modern reproduction of it by KBar. Roosevelt had one of these, Clark Gable had one of these, and Patton had one of these. This is the knife that Patton used to carry. He used to carry an Eck dagger. John Eck dagger. Fighting knife. These were in 1941 for World War II. That's the era for these, when they first came out. And they, from my understanding, they only lasted for like a year because they weren't great utility knives. They had a single purpose for stabbing and killing people. Straight up fighting knife. It wasn't meant to be a bush knife. It wasn't meant to be a camp knife or a utility knife. This knife was just meant for killing people. Killing your enemy. Hand-to-hand combat. And they came, this one's a double-edged version. It's a version modeled after the John Eck 44, I think it was. Model 44. KBar brought out Eck cutlery or Eck knives or whatever it was. KBar used to be Union cutlery, and then they became KBar after World War II because they trademarked their knives, and their knives are stamped on the blade tying KBar, the fighting USMC fighting knives. And the word KBar comes from not necessarily kill a bear, but it means Kodiak bear. KBar is one of my favorite companies for combat knives, for military style knives. I have lots of KBars. Probably more KBars than any other fixed blade. This is a 1095 Crovan, not stainless steel, Crovan carbon steel blade. All my KBars are 1095 Crovan, because they're all the modern versions. This version is made by the KBar Cutco company, which is the present company right now. It's one of my favorites though. Out of all of these, I like this one. I've always had a love for fighting knives. As you guys probably know by now, I like fighting folding knives to carry. Not necessarily because I want to fight with them, it's just I'm attracted to the fighting knives. I'll let you guys get a look at the labeling there. Orleans, New York. That's where the original KBar factory was. It's my understanding they moved to Georgia for a minute and they weren't successful in Georgia because of labor issues, so they moved back to Owings, New York. It comes with this sheath, Kydex sheath, blade inserts into the sheath like so. And it's held in by the retention right here. In order to pull out this knife, you have to bend back the sheath a little bit, then you can pull it out. Very stout blade, very strong blade. All these are collectors for me. I don't use these. These are all my collectors. Next one up is the famous USMC, reproduction of the famous USMC World War II fighting knife. And I think these came out right after these, because the soldiers complained about the EC knives not being good for utility purposes. They needed a knife that was not only good for hand-to-hand combat, but they needed a knife that was better for utility purposes also. And that's when this knife came into the picture. It was being made by Union Cutlery at the time. And all the other manufacturers, once they got contracted out to make these, made them also. All the other knife manufacturers of that period. American knife manufacturers. It was always said that the KBars were the best. And back then they just had regular 1095. They didn't have 1095 Crovan. So it had issues with rusting a lot more, and the handles would rot easily. These are a little bit more durable. They have more chromium in the blades, and vanadium. This one has leather stacked handles. Now this one, by the way, this one has I forget what they call it, FRN, not or was it GFN, glass reinforced nylon handles. And the original one had walnut handles, I think it was, and they had lead rivets. And the reason why I had lead rivets and walnut wouldn't rot, and whereas like leather would rot, the walnut wouldn't rot during that period. They didn't have GFN back then, and they used lead rivets, which I know they wouldn't use nowadays because it's lead. But the lead was you were able to, if the handles came loose, the handle scales came loose, it was easy to pound them back to spread the lead or whatever to make the handles tight again, the handle scales tight again. And some of the original Model 44s came without a guard too, and they were edged on one side of the blade and just partially edged on the top side. This one's edged on the top side too, partially edged on the top side. On the swedge right here, this is sharpened by KBar. It's meant to be a fighting knife. These are not wood crafting knives. I always see people using these like they're wood, reviewers and stuff like that. They review them like if they're a wood crafting knife. These weren't meant to be wood crafting knives. These are fighting knives. The primary purpose of these was to kill people with. It wasn't to make things out of wood or whatever, feather sticks or whatever. It wasn't meant to do all that kind of stuff. These were meant to be fighting knives. And these were all mass-produced knives too, so they weren't produced like in the same type of quality levels like a civilian knife would be. These were meant to be, straight up, purposes, for combat. This is your backup. And they found that the 5.5-inch blades to 8-inch blades were the best ones for combat as far as the size was concerned. This is these are 7-inch ones. These are the large ones. USMC. KBar, Arlene, New York. And the reason why I purchased this one, I did have original one from World War II that my father gave me as a hunting knife that he had when he was in the Marines during World War II. And he gave it to me, and I lost it when I was a teenager. When we were out hunting, I lost it. And so later on in life, I replaced it with this one. The handle on that one was a little bit different. It was kind of rotted, I guess. It was kind of worn out. But the handle was bigger. It's like it had a bigger oval to it. I can't explain it, but the handle shape was a little bit different. Right, and that's basically the same. And the guard was always loose on the one that I had. It was one that got used, so it was kind of beat up. And I didn't appreciate it that much until later on when I learned more about it. And I wish I would have never lost it. But I used to abuse it. I used to throw it at trees and all sorts of stuff. Because I didn't know the history behind it. This one has a leather sheath. A lot of people like the leather sheath over the Kydex sheaths. Next one, this is a Camelus or Camelus M3. This is an M3 trench knife, fighting trench knife. It's a lot like the Eck knife. And I think these came out in 1943. I want to say 1943. And these are ones that turned into the M4 for the bayonet knife. And these have been used in World War II, Korean War, Vietnam, and even Iraq in our latest wars. This one doesn't have any labeling on the blade. This is a real M3. Leather stacked handles. And it's not a full dagger. It's more like a bayonet grind. And this is the same type of grind that a lot of the original Ecks have. John Eck knives. Not all of them are full daggers. And this is the sheath for it. And on the sheath you can see that says Camelus USA. Can't get these no more because the company doesn't exist anymore. Next up, these are the modern versions. These are the modern versions. This is a modern KBar. This was a limited production knife because it has the leather stacked handles. Most of these that you can get will have the what do you call it? The rubberized handles. I forget the name of the material that they use. But I really like this one because this one has a nice sharpening choil, whereas the others don't. The quality in this one's a little bit higher. It's more like a civilian knife. USA. KBar, Orleans, New York. This is the Tonto, American Tonto. When they first came out with the American Tonto, that's when they made these, the limited production ones. And I just happened to see that, and I got it at that time. I can't remember what year it was when they made these. But I bought them when they first came out. Bought this one when it first came out. You know me, I like the American Tonto because I like the thick blade all the way to the tip almost. To me, the Tonto blades are the strongest blades. If I was to go into combat, I want a Tonto. I just like I just want a super strong knife. The Tontos I really like now aren't the KBars. I like the Cold Steel Warcraft series. I haven't gotten one of those yet. I want to get one though. I want to get the Magnum XL, the Warcraft Magnum XL, the 12-inch blade one, with the 3V steel, G10 handle scales. One of these days I'll get one. I'll come across a good deal on one. I'll get one. But that's the one I want. I want the biggest one. Why? Because I have a lot of blades like this are like 7 inches and 8 inches and 6 inches. I got a lot of knives that they're this size. But this is the best size though. You know, the Marines and everybody in the military thought that these were the best size. The 7-inch blades, the 5.5 to 8-inch blades. 5.5 inch or 7-inch or 8-inch blades. Those were the preferred sizes for fighting knives. Hand-to-hand combat. Because they weren't too big and they weren't too small. I really like this one. I like the way this one's made. The quality of this one is, to me, is higher than the other KBars. I don't know if you can still get these. I think they only made them for a short period of time. I think now you can only get them with the rubberized handles. And it came with the Kydex sheath. And this sheath is different than the modern sheaths. The way it works. Personally, I love the way the leather handles look, but after getting one with the rubberized handles, I forget what they call this material. I think the ones with the rubberized handles feel grippier. I just feel like they have a better grip. Sort of like cold steel Kobuns and Oya buns. And this is my newest one. Newest one out the bunch. It's a modified Tonto. KBar modified Tonto. I think they've just been making these for a couple of years. Absolutely love this one. It's more like a traditional Tonto blade, the shape of it. Instead of being like Americanized Tonto, it's more like a Japanese Tonto. This one would be good for piercing and have more use as far as utility is concerned. And I love the way this handle feels. I know it doesn't have that classic leather look, but the handle really is super grippy. USA model 1266, is that what it says? Yep, USA model 1266. Orleans, New York. These are my KBars, or I should say my military fighting style blades. Now the knives that the military get, it's my understanding they get the Ontario style KBar. Like I said, these aren't wood crafting. None of these are wood crafting knives. All these knives are meant to fight people with. They're meant for self-defense or offense or attacking people. If you have to attack somebody quietly with a knife. These were meant strictly for taking people out in a combat situation. These are weapons of war. These aren't wood crafting knives. I wish people would stop using these like wood crafting knives when they review them. I don't understand that. It's like, you know, people don't understand what the knife was made for. These are meant for stabbing in the flesh, not for whittling at wood, making campfires and things like that. Even though that they did use these a lot for, you know, like opening up C-rack cans and food preparation and stuff like that. Their primary purpose was for combat, for fighting. These are fighting knives. I'll do a video on my bowies too. I have a few bowies, and those were meant to be fighting knives also. But what's popular about the bowie, you know, the big Western style bowie, is that it was like a multi-purpose tool. Its primary purpose was fighting also. Especially the Bill Bagwell bowies. And these are my fighting knives. This is my Veterans Day special. Hope everybody's doing okay out there. This is the sheath that this one comes with. This has a new type of sheath. It's not like the X sheath, the John X sheath, where once you put the knife in there, it's not going to fall back out. You have to push the handle back and pull the knife out. This one straps in has two sets of straps for it, plus the retention system for the handle scale. I mean the sheath. Excellent knives. U.S. military history. This one's for all the soldiers. These are knives that our soldiers have carried into combat since World War II. The types of knives. Absolutely love and respect all of them. God bless our troops. And that's the end of this video. Hope everybody's doing okay. I know that the coronavirus is spiking back up again. Hopefully we'll be able to get it under control. Hopefully they'll have a vaccine pretty soon. I know, like everybody else, I get tired of wearing the mask too. But we gotta do what we gotta do. We gotta do our part to help prevent the spread of it. Because most people seem to be able to handle it, but there's a lot of people that can't. And as Americans, we gotta care about all of our citizens. That's the proper thing to do. Well, that's all I got for today. I wanted to get this one out for all the veterans. It's my way of celebrating Veterans Day. Peace out. Stiletto. Stay safe.